risk to bear is not small, but the inner core can be used. It can greatly increase the strength of the monster race cultivator. Shui Lian spit out the inner core at this time, showing how crazy he was. No wonder Ba He and others were so frightened. Shui Lian's status is extraordinary. If he uses the inner core and is still defeated by Yangkai, then the Blood Flood Dragon Lord will never give up. He is a top powerhouse who is not inferior to Chiyue. If he gets angry, the whole Monster Emperor Star will be in darkness. But if Shui Lian wins with his current madness, Jiang Kai's end will definitely not be much better. How can Ba He, Yu Shang and Shan Qingluo stand by and watch? So in any case, he must be stopped before Shui Lian displays the original power contained in the inner core. In this way, it is possible to make big things small. The movements of the three of them were not unpleasant, they were only separated by a distance of 1,000 feet. Ba He opened his mouth and was about to be a peacemaker, persuading the two to stop, but before they could say anything, suddenly a loud roar came from Yang Kai's body, and at the same time that the voice sounded, an unbelievable force spread. Even the strong Ba He, there was a feeling of trembling in his heart. His words got stuck in his throat, his eyes looked at Yang Kai in horror, his eyes twitched. If he heard it right, the loud roar just now should be Dragon Roar. In the bedroom, Chiyue's face paled. She got up, her beautiful eyes glowed with strange brilliance, as if she had discovered something extraordinary. Even with the cultivation level of the second order Void King realm, when the voice came, she still got goosebumps. It was instinctive and had nothing to do with strength. Chiyue has a trace of the bloodline of Heavenly Moon Demon Spider, so she can cultivate to the level of the Void King realm. That's why she is so optimistic about Shan Qingluo, who has absorbed the origin power of the Heavenly Moon Demon Spider. Shan Qingluo, as her adopted daughter, is cultivated and trained vigorously. She looked forward to one day when Shan Qingluo could bring the majestic power of the Heavenly Moon Demon Spider to this world again, and see the power of the Heavenly Moon Demon Spider again from the ancient times. The Heavenly Moon Demon Spider is an ancient variation, a terrifying monster beast. But compared with the legendary Ancient Holy Spirit, there is still a gap. Among the Ancient Holy Spirit, the dragon and phoenix is respected. Unfortunately, these powerful Holy Spirit has long since disappeared in the long river of history. Only the oldest ancient book can see their shadows and their exaggerated descriptions. Those ancient holy spirits that only existed in the legends were strictly speaking monster race, but they were born as the monster race emperor, and they were the existence that every monster race must worship. Chiyue thought that these ancient holy spirits had long since disappeared. But in her palace, she suddenly heard the purest voice of Dragon Roar. Heading straight to her ears, deafening, the bloodline of the Heavenly Moon Demon Spider in her body was trembling and fearful. She no longer hesitated, she shook her figure, disappeared from the bedroom, and rushed towards the battlefield. She knew that Shui Lian was in trouble this time. Outside the attic, Yang Kai looked cold. Taking a deep breath, giving up the suppression of the mysterious power in his body, letting it burst out. Dragon Roar shook the sky, and in the dazzling golden light, a huge golden figure suddenly emerged from Yang Kai's body. The figure obscured the sky and exuded a strong majesty. Two eyes larger than a house are also of pure golden color. It is daunting. It shook its head and waved its tail, and as soon as it appeared, it rushed towards Shui Lian without a pause. Shui Lian was stunned. The crazy aura of his body seemed to be poured into a basin of cold water, and it was instantly annihilated. At the moment he lost his senses, the golden dragon's figure had opened its mouth wide, biting the inner core in front of him. Swallowed into the abdomen, immediately returned to the top of Yang Kai's head, overlooking below. Impossible. Mitian cried out, staring at the golden dragon blankly. He was shocked by this sudden appearance. Holy dragon! Yu Shang almost bit his tongue, shaking violently all over. He looked at the shocking scene in front of him speechlessly, as if he had lost his ability to speak. Shan Qingluo's beautiful eyes bloomed with splendor, and suddenly a phantom of an 8-legged giant spider with silver body appeared behind it. Against the thick dragon prestige, the giant spider was the size of a house, and the phantom was almost frozen. In essence, there is a meniscus sign on the forehead. Heavenly Moon Demon Spider. Out of everyone present, at the moment only she is a little better. For one thing, she was born of a human race, and dragon prestige suppressed her the least. Secondly, she bore the power of the Heavenly Moon Demon Spider, some of which could resist the dragon prestige. Because of this, she was also shocked by the golden dragon that suddenly sprang out of Xianxia's body. The whole audience was silent. The bloody battle came to an abrupt end, only heavy breathing one after another. Xianxia looked up, a weird look flashed across his face, and he looked at Shui Lian faintly. Sorry, this guy seems to be very interested in your inner core. I didn't suppress it. Shui Lian's face was extremely gray, and the pride in his eyes was like a leaning 10,000-foot mansion, which collapsed suddenly and turned into rubble. In this battle, Xianxia from the inside to the outside, from the body to the soul, completely smashed his body. Under the terror suppression of that dragon prestige, he failed to even think of taking back his inner core. Enough. A soft drink suddenly came out, and a beautiful woman suddenly appeared in the void. She sternly scanned the audience, and finally settled on the golden dragon, taking a deep breath. Her full mountains fluctuates exaggeratedly. Foster mother. Shan Qingluo and Yu Shang shouted quickly. My lord. Bah, he saluted respectfully. Xianxia's eyes narrowed, and his spiritual mind turned around on this beautiful woman, but he was shocked to discover that he could not see her depth at all. This is a powerhouse of the Void King realm. The identity of the other party is ready to be revealed, undoubtedly the master of this palace, Chiyue. This is not the first time Xianxia has seen a martial artist in the Void King realm. He had been with the ghost ancestor for a while before, but Chiyue gave him the feeling that it was much more terrifying than the ghost ancestor. After all, the ghost ancestor is only the first order Void King realm, and Chiyue has reached the second order realm. The gap of a small realm is a world of difference. Junior Xianxia, I have seen Senior Chiyue. Xianxia clasped his fists and shouted loudly. Only then did Chiyue cast her gaze on him, nodding lightly. You are also a guest of my palace, so don't be too polite. Xianxia grinned and said freely, the kid has long admired the prestige of his senior and should have taken the initiative to visit her. However, the kid has a low status and has no face to meet his senior. Please forgive me. It's okay, it's the same when this palace lord comes to see you. Chiyue replied lightly. Foster mother, this time. Seeing Chiyue's attitude toward Xianxia seemed lukewarm, Shan Qingluo couldn't help but panicked, thinking she was blaming Xianxia, and quickly wanted to excuse Xianxia. Needless to say, I know. Chiyue interrupted her with a wave, and did not give her a chance to continue talking. With her phoenix-like eyes narrowed, she looked down at Xianxia condescendingly, and lightly opened her lips and said, this battle has been won. Could you return people's inner core back? Do you want me to return it back? Xianxia raised his brows, revealing an unexpected look. You don't want to be ruthless. Chiyue slowly shook her head. You are a wise man, you should know what the consequences will be if you really do this. The kid really doesn't know. Please ask Senior Chiyue to teach me. Xianxia looked at Chiyue grimly, as if he didn't mean to be afraid at all. Bah, he was sweating all over his body, and he felt that the soles of his feet were cramping, and Yu Shang couldn't help but shiver. Someone dared to talk to the palace lord like this? Does this kid know how high the sky is and how thick the earth is? What good is it to anger a powerful monster race at the lord level? Doesn't he have the idea of forgiving and sparing people? Little bastard. Chiyue who has a good heart and recuperation, and she was amused by Xianxia's madness. After thinking about it, she said with a gentle expression, this palace lord gives you face, and you have to give this palace lord some face. I'm already so old, and I'm tired of talking too much. Senior is old? The kid feels that Senior is no less than those girls in the late 20s. Xianxia was surprised. Bah, he and other strong monster race suddenly messed up in the wind. Each one looked at Yongkai like a monster. This is making fun of the Lord, right? Is this absolutely true? In the whole world, there are people who dare to make fun of the palace lord? Looking at Chiyue cautiously, he and the others found strangely that the palace lord didn't mean to be angry at all. On the contrary, she showed a weird smile, which seemed very useful. She snorted coldly. Human race mouth is really smooth. No wonder Qingluo will have a deep love and affection for you. That's how you tricked her into it, right? Senior was wrong. The junior conquered Qingluo with his personality and charm. There is no rhetoric. Yongkai shook his head with a serious expression. Rampant. Chiyue pursed her lips and smiled. After a while, she suppressed her smile and said with a serious face, but anyway, you can't be too presumptuous in my palace. If there is really something wrong with Shuilian, this palace master cannot explain it to the blood flood dragon. Return the inner core to others. It will be the same as if the palace master owes you a favor. Yongkai narrowed his eyes and glanced at the pale Shuilian on the other side, a little reluctant. You don't need to return it back. Shuilian suddenly shouted, it's just a remnant of the holy dragon, and it can't restrain this young man's inner core. With that said, he opened his mouth and inhaled sharply. The high dragon roar sounded again, and a blood-red light suddenly shot out from the golden dragon's body and was swallowed by Shuilian. He easily took back his inner core. Golden Dragon was furious and grinned for a while. Human race, just now this young master was careless. Do you think you can beat this young master with this kind of afterimage? You look down on me too much. Shuilian's expression of disapproval was no longer the contempt he had before, and instead his eyes showed the color of fear. Whether he admits it or not, Yongkai's strength is not inferior to him at all. To be continued.